Welcome to the Mana Mama podcast. Welcome to a mother's love. Good morning, Angel. Welcome to the Mana Mama podcast. For this conversation, I'll be calling you Angel for security reasons. And I just want to say what an honor it is to know you. What an honor it is to be your friend, be your spirit mama, be trusted with your heart and your story, which, is a story that I feel, we've talked about this, but it's a story that I feel will reach the world in coming years, because it is a story that needs to be told, and it is a story that hasn't yet been told. And I just want to acknowledge both of our courage. I want to acknowledge our courage in standing in the flame of truth, standing in the flame of love, and bringing you and your heart and your story to people's hearts and ears. So thank you for being here, Angel. I love you so much. It's really beautiful to have you.
You're welcome, Mama. I'm glad I'm here.
Oh, that's beautiful. So I just want to share with everyone that, me and Angel, we met serendipitously. There's so much that points toward a very powerful and purposeful meeting and journey that our hearts and souls are taking together. And my God, I feel like I could write a book, really, just from our last few months. I mean, we met only 4 months ago, and I feel like I could write a book on what we've shared, you've shared, what I've learnt, what I've become aware of through you. But unfortunately, your story begins decades and decades and decades ago, and it is, the biggest story by far of tragedy and of horror, and ultimately of bravery and of love conquering and being unconquerable, the human soul being unconquerable. Like, this is really, I believe, the essence of your story and of your life. But what we are going to be talking about is really stuff that people don't know, because, like you'll share with us, it's an industry, or it's a level of human trafficking that is very, very undercover, and no one, very, very few, I mean, you'll tell us, people are talking about it, and very, very few people actually escape it and come out alive. So you are one of those very few people, and I know others you've shared with that, with me. So you are speaking on behalf of, how to put it? How would you put it? It's like a group of people that are desperately needing to be acknowledged and to be supported. And that is the survivors, the victims, and or the survivors of the torture trafficking rings that exist on our planet. So welcome, Angel, to this very brave conversation. And I don't know, I just want you to be heard. I just want you to be heard. I want your heart to be acknowledged. And so in that, I would love to just open it up for you to share whatever is in your heart in this very moment. What would you like to share with us?
Thanks, Mama.
Hmm.
You talk about, you mentioned about sharing about the people.
Mm.
We're the nameless and the faceless. We don't have names or faces, not even currently. In when you look at the human trafficking, excuse me, parts of things, they mention only three types,
Mm.
and there's so much more,
Right.
but they don't mention it.
Why?
For a lot of people, they're trying to legalize certain forms of it, not the actual buying and selling of people, but they're trying to legalize the culture. And if they acknowledge us, it's going to be a problem.
Right. So they are people, systems, governments are trying to legalize the torturous treatment of people. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they class it under the BDSM category,
Right.
which is being declared in a lot of countries and states as an alternative lifestyle.
Right.
And the people that practice that want the rights
Right.
to not get in trouble for doing that behavior because it does harm to somebody.
Right.
And they use terms like it's consensual harm, so it's okay.
Right. So let's just blow that out of the water immediately. What you experienced and what other slaves, other humans that were being bought and sold around you, what you guys experienced or are experiencing right now somewhere, God forbid, is not consensual at all, correct?
Not at all. There are people, and I know people, that do practice it. That's their alternative lifestyle.
Right.
They haven't been bought and sold, but there's way too many that don't have a choice, that never had a choice to make it their style or not.
And you shared just earlier that you guys are faceless, you are nameless. You just shared with me the other day that in your time in being trafficked in those rings, you and the others mostly had hoods over your faces, correct?
Yes, we wear hoods or masks just so that we can't identify each other. We don't know who they are. We just know what their slave name is,
Mhm.
so we know what to properly call somebody.
Right. And you, like I said earlier, you've shared with me that there are very few survivors of the torture rings. Uh, and that's for many reasons, obviously. And the most obvious is that most die in there because of the level of torture, the pain, the suffering, correct?
Yeah, with the torture, there's a lot that the human body learns to take.
Mm.
It's unreal what you can learn to take. Some people can't.
Yeah, I should never have had to.
Some people, they just get the mixture wrong for some of the tortures, and it goes horribly wrong,
Right.
and it causes death.
Yes.
Sometimes, when slaves misbehave, the punishment, you can't survive.
Right. And then on the very odd chance that you actually escape it, the odds are very low of surviving even outside in the free world, correct?
In the free world,
Mm.
I don't know what people mean by that. I mean, I know the world I live in,
Yes.
which is kind of a mixture, I guess, of both.
All right.
But society, we're we're the crazies. We're easily labeled crazy and put in institutions. A lot of people, because drugs and alcohol run rampant through that, as a means to help control
Yeah.
and help you deal with the pain and get you ready for the next event that you have to do. And it's really hard to kick an addiction, especially when you get out,
Yes.
because you have no support. Since I've been out, I've had almost no support. You can't find support. They're willing to lock you up in an institution,
Yeah.
and where's the freedom? You're not free. You're just in a different type of cage or cell
Tama.
that's run by the state or by the insurance companies. People out to make money.
All right.
So it's just a different form
Yeah.
when you really think about it, because they're making money off you again. But this time it's going to an institution.
Mm. And so, for those very few that are able to escape these rings, you've shared with me that generally the outcome is drug addiction, to deal with the accumulation of the most horrific trauma that people don't believe, right? Or like institutionalized
Yep.
suicide, you know, is it,
It's
or
very hard.
yes, or you said going back. Tell us about that. Going back to the trafficking.
I guess the easiest expression would be the devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Hmm.
We know what to expect when you live inside of a cage or a cell. There's plenty of rules, and you learn them, and you learn them well. And when you function within the rules, although the torture, you at least get treated better than when you misbehave. When you come out, there's no rules anymore. There's so much confusion. You can't get help. You can't find people willing to help you.
Hmm.
You can go knocking on hundreds of doors,
Hmm.
and there's nobody.
Hmm.
How do you learn to function? How do you learn what this world is?
Yeah.
This world is might as well be going to a foreign country because you don't know anything
Yes.
and you can't get any help. So, and you know you're going to be hunted. So why not just go back?
Right.
Because it's easier.
It's
Although it's
easier.
much harder, but it is easier.
Yeah.
I know that probably sounds confusing. It's harder, but it is easier.
It sounds confusing to a mind that has no empathy. But when, with our heart's intelligence, we can reach in and do our best to understand what you people go through and have been through, it can make sense. Although it horrifies me. It absolutely horrifies me that they are the choices that souls like yours are up against when they finally escape, if at all, from these rings. Is that one of the choices that makes most sense is to go back. Like, it just horrifies me, and it illuminates. And I think that that's one of the what I want to do with this chat is to illuminate the level of mental control and or breaking down of a human that must go on, that has to, like you've told me, has to happen to prepare you victims for what happens in those rings. And it's that level of mental torture, really, and conditioning that is what is, I guess, the hardest part to deal with when you come out. Like you say, the rules, the very, very, very strict rules that you basically, how to put it, well, it's either it's life or death, really. It's life or death or torture for you guys around those rules. And then you come out and you are presented with what we call freedom, what we call choice, the choice to eat, chicken or fish for dinner, the choice to go directly to the bathroom or to hold the bladder for 10 more minutes until whatever these things that to us are so simple, and these everyday choices are actually torturous to you and to other survivors when you come out. And not just when you come out, even now, it's still very, very difficult for you, very, very confusing to the point of traumatizing for you to have to be told to make those decisions. Can you share with us more about your journey with that, Angel?
Well, that's a loaded question. There's several parts.
Mm.
One about the breaking in.
Mm.
They have to. A part of it is they have to be able to control every aspect of you, not just your body, what they're going to do to you, but they've got to have 100% control over the mind.
Yeah.
Because one of your purposes when you're trafficked for the torture is you need to know exactly what your owner wants at all times and
Right.
be able to second guess that and stay 2 steps ahead. So you need to know when they come home, are they going to want a tea, a coffee, a scotch, a beer, a glass of wine when ready when they walk through that door? And if you don't know it, you don't want to know what happens.
Right.
So you've got to know the individual that owns you at that time.
Got it. Got it.
There is no decision making. You lose the rights. Every what people would, I think, class basic rights, you lose. You don't have them. There is not a decision. The only decision to make is what does your owner want?
Mm.
That is, so that is the decision is what are they going to want?
Mm. Mm.
Classic one I've taught. we've talked about, Mama, is the ham or turkey.
Yeah. Tell the people.
You know, would you fix me 2 sandwiches? 1 ham, 1 turkey. Which one would I want? That's not a simple question for people that come out of torture trafficking. It might seem very simple, and someone just goes, "Turkey." But for somebody like me, it could be you want the turkey. So you want me to choose the ham because you really want the turkey, and I'm supposed to know that.
Hmm.
But it could be you want me to have the ham,
Hmm.
and that's the choice you want me to make.
Hmm.
But then it could be you want me to choose the turkey because you're in the mood to punish your property because you're feeling that way. So you want me to pick the turkey so that I can be punished. But then you might want me to pick the turkey so that I don't get to eat because I picked wrong.
Right.
But then again, you could want me to pick the ham and I could be allowed to eat the ham sandwich that time. And I could sit and eat a ham sandwich. But then the next morning, I might face a consequence. And the only words that are ever uttered to you is, you should have chose the turkey.
Hmm.
You've got to know those things. You've got to try to know who owns you so that you make the right choice of what they want.
Or else.
Or else you might not survive the decision. Because you might not survive what they do to you because you made the wrong one.
Hmm. And I have been privy to some of the experiences that you went through, and some of those experiences that you shared with me are more horrific than any horror movie, there's no way we will talk about it here. There's absolutely no way. I can't talk to anyone about that. But you went through this kind of stuff on a daily basis for years and years and years. And you shared with me sometimes it was 3 times a day that you would,
Sometimes more.
sometimes more. And it wasn't just with your owner. You would be sold out to other twisted characters to torture you how they found amusing on an hourly rate, sold out, rented out on an hourly rate,
Yes.
tortured in performances with scores of people buying tickets at thousands and thousands and sometimes tens of thousands a piece. This is big money.
It's very big business. Trading and buying and selling of people is more profitable than trafficking drugs. And it's easier to do.
Yes, and I have heard over the last year, as awareness grows around human trafficking, we are told and learning that it is fast outgrowing, the drug trade, and that it is the fastest growing criminal industry on the planet, growing exponentially.
Yes.
It's pardon me if I have been working closely with you for months, and still I come to these points of feeling absolute shock. Like it's like the mind finds it very hard to accept that people are doing this to people. And, I don't want us to talk too much about how this is possible for a human to become so devoid of love and empathy and care that they can do these things. There's a million theories on that. But I am so inspired to gently bring light to this particular rings of trafficking that, like you say, don't get talked about. No one knows about it. No one wants to talk about it. There's absolutely no care or aftercare for survivors of it. There's very, very, very few survivors of it. And, to me, and I've talked about this, with Project Angel, until we clean up the darkest corners of the room, we can sort of clean up the other three corners of the room. But while there is a stinking, infested turd sitting in one corner, we're not cleaning up. And to me, this is the darkest of the dark. What you have experienced, Angel, what you have walked, what you have survived. And as far as I see it, you are an angel. And, Christian and I see that very clearly, that you are an angel. Your soul could not be conquered. And you have come here to herald, if you like, how far we've gone wrong on our planet, so we can actually evolve and brave up and woman up and man up and face it to whatever degree we can. We're all in different places with our abilities to hold space, to absorb, to combat, face the shadow. We're all in different places with that, of course. But, you are something else, Angel. I just want you to know that I know, I speak on behalf of anyone listening to this conversation, that we love you. And that, it's like I want to offer my love metaphysically to all the people that are still in captivity, undergoing what they're undergoing. Like I know that love is powerful, and we need to love those people. We need, them to be felt, seen, acknowledged. Because, wouldn't you say that is, I guess, how this is able to continue, is that it's not acknowledged. It's hiding. It's hiding in the crevices, in the shadows. This awful industry.
It's also hiding in the wide open. Mama, we've talked.
Tell me.
I've been walked down streets on a collar and a leash, and nobody says anything. There's public displays. Nobody says anything. I mean, I understand some of it. What do you say when you see that?
Yeah.
But what are you supposed to say?
Well, I can remember when you shared that story with me, I thought the only explanation is that anyone that saw you being walked down the street with a collar on and with a chain would have assumed that you were in consent, and that it was some kind of way of being that you and that other person enjoyed, like we were talking about earlier, that is the only explanation that could, for me, like possibly flash through people's minds. Oh, that's a bit weird, but they must, okay, I won't go near that. But the fact is, you were never in consent about that, and no one ever stopped and said, hey, what's going on here? Are you okay? And you couldn't obviously ever call out, speak out.
No, we go by very strict rules, as we've talked about. There is no talking to anybody in public. You walk one step to the right, two steps behind, and your eyes are down. And that's how you walk when you're out in public.
Right.
So we're not seen. We're not heard. We are a barcode, a number.
Right.
And you have a slave name, and that is your name. If anybody asks, and nobody really knows who you are.
And in regards to, this filth being hidden in the wide open, you shared with me an experience that you had, Angel, where, in the last few years that you've been out, someone in public recognized you and used your slave name. And you shared with me that's because there are videos of you being tortured on the internet.
Yes, there's videos, there's pictures, and some people will recognize you.
And people pay for that or watch that, and someone just casually thought they'd just say g'day using your slave name in public. Like, everything's normal here.
Because of the code. If you know me as my slave name, I don't have the right to refuse you.
What do you mean refuse you?
I don't have the right to refuse whatever you ask me to do. If you ask me to go with you, if you want to do something, we don't have the right. It's part of the code.
Right.
We're just a piece of property.
Right.
And that is a freedom we can't get back. When we're recognized, it puts you right back there.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why it's so hard for those that do get out. Because we know it's out there. And when will the trap be sprung? When will somebody recognize us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Will they be any better than the people that owned us?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're on the move.
Right.
Or, as a lot of people do, turn to the addictions of the drugs and the alcohol so they forget. And they don't have to remember and they don't have to walk through it. They can just escape it the rest of their lives.
Yes, and that is something that you have refrained from, and I want to firstly just, I don't know if acknowledge you is the right word. It's, there's no fucking right words with this topic, darling. There really aren't. But I guess it's something that astounds me further about you is that you went through the decades the decades of being in the torture trafficking rings without using, which is just, a phenomenon unto itself.
I had a problem with addiction
Prior.
to being trafficked,
Yes.
and I gave that up.
Mm.
I got clean and sober, and I had made a promise that I wouldn't use again and I wouldn't drink again. And that first night when it was offered, when I didn't know what I was going through, that was the promise I had made and the promise I had to keep.
So that was the night that you woke up from being drugged and found yourself in a cage.
I didn't realize it was a cage at first. It was just cold and dark. I didn't know where I was until I felt the bars. And then, even then, I didn't know what was going on. You couldn't hear anything, you couldn't see anything. And then you just started feeling the stings as they start to beat you without saying anything, just to start the breaking in process. I didn't know what was going on. But like any person, you start fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess it's a natural instinct when somebody starts beating you.
Yeah.
You start fighting back.
Yeah.
Although they're beating you in between bars, you can't reach them, but you still put up a fight or try to
Yeah.
until you're just exhausted and you hurt a lot. And again, they don't say anything. They just put the needle in front of you and the drink,
Right.
and it goes quiet again.
Yeah.
But I had made somebody a promise that I would stay clean and sober. So I didn't do it. I wanted to keep my promise to that person.
Oh. That you kept your promise and that you do keep promises above all else. Above all, the possibility of some relief from being tortured, that you kept your promise to that person all those years while you were in that darkness, just astounds me about you and further confirms that you are the bravest human being on the planet, Angel. And you, obviously, like you said, you had a drug problem prior to being trafficked, prior to being lured and trapped. And that was a result of a different kind of trauma, of serious abuse in the family home, wasn't it? And that obviously went on for decades. So your story of incredible adversity on every level began when you were tiny. How old? 2? 3?
Between 2 and 3, they reckon.
Between 2 and 3. Yeah. And here you are. And here you are standing as much as you can, as powerfully and as bravely as you can for yourself for life, for healing, and for love, and for integrity. Angel, you are truly a warrior of love, my sister.
Didn't know what that was.
Tell us.
Love is what our owner tells us.
Right.
They do it because they love us. Because that's our purpose. That's why we were born.
That's what you're told.
Everybody has a match. And these people need matches. And that's our purpose.
Right.
And we're good at it. Some of us are really good at it.
Right.
I didn't know. Not till I met you. Not till I started working with you, Mama. Did I have any idea what it meant?
That what meant, darling?
What love meant?
Right.
I didn't know. Normally, for people like me, love means hurt and pain.
Right.
That's how you show. I didn't know. You've been teaching me it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Doesn't have to be that way.
But other people don't know.
Right.
There are very few of us. Because we don't know.
Right. Would you say, Angel, that, for the other survivors that you know of, because I know you know some there in the States personally, would you say that that's common to all of you, that you are a people that don't know love?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of us, I guess you could say the saving grace about the torture rings is they don't use children. They only use adults.
Yeah.
But most of the adults have come from pretty horrific upbringing.
I imagine. Yeah.
So it's easy once we become adults for people to convince us.
Right. Convince you that that is love. Convince you that pain and torture and suffering is love.
Because it's what we knew as kids.
I'm so sorry that that's what happened to you as a child.
It's okay, Mama.
It's not okay. It's not okay, darling. It's not okay. But, when I tune in or sort of zoom out, if you like, into the bigger picture of it, I must feel compassion and empathy for also the perpetrators. Because they also are devoid of love. How else is it possible for people to do things like this to each other unless they also have had love withheld from them or been tortured themselves, or, I mean, who knows? But I have compassion also for people that feel they must derive some sense of enjoyment or satisfaction out of life by hurting another. That surely must be their own private hell.
They enjoy the power and the control.
Yeah.
And where they can take. Science doesn't even begin to touch and describe how far they can manipulate the brain.
But you've walked down those roads unwillingly, obviously, been pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to the very edges of what is possible to take.
And just when you think you finally satisfied it and they're happy, they push again to go to another level and see if another level's possible.
And here you are. Here you are. With your heart open, I just... Who are you?
Because of you, Mama.
It's not because of me, Dylan.
It is. You said yes.
I said yes. Of course I said yes. I said yes to walking with you, walking you out, fully out of this.
But nobody like me gets that. When I first got out, it was psychiatric hospitals. And nobody believing you. People don't do that to people. You must be crazy. Nobody can survive that. You must be crazy. And then they start on the medication. And then you become a zombie.
Yeah.
Which isn't help.
No.
Or people turn to the streets for their drugs. And they get arrested. And they go to jail. And then they're spending time in another type of cage. Under control. And you don't know the rules.
You don't know the rules.
You know, people, especially in the country I'm in, people talk about freedom all the time. I don't think they understand what it is.
Yeah, no. It's definitely not a political concept, which is how most people relate to freedom. They think it's got something to do with cage. I'm not in a cage. I can do what I want. People don't understand the levels of psychic, mental, emotional, spiritual conditioning and entrapment that we are in Western society and all over the world. People think they're free. Very far from it.
But when you're able to, after not being able to come outside and even see the birds,
Yeah.
people don't notice them anymore. They don't notice that a bird's landed on a tree. Or might be sitting drinking out of a hot tub. They won't notice it.
Yeah.
They don't notice the flower growing in the grass.
Yeah.
Or what it's like just to sit on a front porch watching traffic go by.
Yeah.
Those little things
Yeah.
that are scarier than hell to do. But you do them.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been able to.
Yeah.
To see or watch that.
Yeah. And I just want to share with the people that, it's very obvious that survivors of torture trafficking are obviously incredibly delicate. The situation, I should say, is incredibly delicate with the level of trauma, and then this, the mental conditioning and the I mean, I've seen it and felt it with it, like the panic and the catatonic states of panic that you can go into around being asked to decide. Like it is so thick, the conditioning that we are walking you out of, and that you are bossing, might I just say. But it's the physical, effects, obviously, of a body that has been tortured in all the ways, the internal wounding, even just the, I want to share with people that it's, for people like yourself, coming out and even having a shower is it's just not possible. Like for you can't just get in the shower. Like,
No.
the trauma around water, the fact that your body, you can't register sensation on your skin, so you don't know whether water is scalding hot or freezing cold yet, because of the trauma that your body has been through. And so then getting you need help with so many things that people just think you guys get out and just can walk down the street. Oh, yay, I'm free. It's like, no, that is not what is happening here.
You can't even go down the street.
Right.
Because you don't know what's down the street. You don't know who might be down the street. Are you going to be seen? Are you going to be recognized? Are they looking for you if you've escaped? Are they looking for you? Are they going to pull up beside you and put you in a car or a van?
And that's happened to you before. That's happened to you before, where you a long time ago escaped, and then before few months later, boom, back in.
Yeah. Come to find out, I came through in a van. They hit you with a blow dart. You just go down.
A blow dart. What's that, darling?
They either shoot it or blow it. It's something that hits you. Feels like a bee sting.
Right.
And that's the last thing you remember. Because it's got a sleeping agent in it or something like that. And you just literally collapse on the street. And then two nice people come over and help you into a van. The public doesn't think anything of it. They just think somebody's helping you out.
Oh, for God's sake, I just can't even fucking fathom this shit. Because you're property. You are that, as far as they're concerned, you are their property. They bought you, and you've escaped, and you're your property, and you get back. Thank you.
Yeah. A valuable piece of property. Not that you have value to them, but you have value for income and the investment and the time they took to break you in or to advance your training enough that you can take things other people can't. Or you can go places. Or the level of control that they have is more than anybody's ever seen before. It's power. It's a play for them to move higher up the ranks in the ring. Because look at what my people can do, and your people can't. So I'm better than you. And you've got to be able to do that as the slave because your job is to help them look good. No matter what it takes. or you suffer the consequences that you might not live through.
You know, when I think of this abomination from the level of my mind and knowing from the mind that it is the fastest growing criminal industry in the world, you know, on a mind level, we can just feel hopeless and think, well, how are we going to stop this? But we mustn't just think of this from the mind, because that is the most limited viewpoint or standpoint that we could ever approach anything, because we are multidimensional creatures. And this is a spiritual issue. Before it becomes a physical one, it is a spiritual issue. It's about souls, you know, being claimed, essentially. And so when we, Angel, you and I and all the others that are working with us and backing us, and that includes everyone listening here, because we're bringing light and love to this situation, when we surround this in light and love and blast our searing white love in every direction and stand right in the center of the flame of truth and drive our project, our journey from that place, we are able to flip this game faster than we realize. And when I say we, I mean all the light workers all over the planet that are becoming aware of this faster and faster and faster, because it starts in the metaphysics. Everything does. You know, if we're going to, you know, talk straight here, and that's what I want us to do, because you know, I want to bust this shit on the head as fast as we can. And so it's like we face it metaphysically. And those forces do not like love. We talk about that a lot, don't we? I have to keep reminding you of that, to use your love, Darwin. Don't give them a scrap more of your fear, because they love that. They feed off that. We're not going to give it to them. We don't have any fear, because light and love is infinitely more powerful. And the only reason this abomination has had any chance to grow and secure itself is because light and love have not had its attention on it. And that is what we're doing.
And
That is what
people
we're
forget the
doing.
past.
Say that again. And people forget the past.
This type of trafficking has been around for centuries,
Yep.
and it's continued to grow because it's forgotten about.
Not anymore. It's fucking not. Fire mama's on the fucking case now.
Mm.
Look out.
But it's like when I found you and you said yes. The thing is it gives, well, it gave me hope. We've been working
Yeah.
and working hard, I'd say,
Yes.
and doing a lot of hard things,
Yeah, Papa.
which hard things aren't easy. That's
Yeah.
why they call them hard.
Yeah.
But the thing is people come out, even when they escape, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. There is no hope on the outside. And you don't know that until once you get out, that there's no
Yeah.
hope.
Right.
There's no hope of survival. Understanding the world. You don't know the technology. You don't know the places to go. You know, there's a few beds depending on your age, but for a lot of people getting out, they're too old for the beds that they do have.
Right.
The awareness is great that everybody's talking about, but awareness has to lead to action.
Yes.
Because the problem is there's no place for us. And
Right.
if you had to choose, go live in a dumpster and eat out of that dumpster you're living in to survive, or go back to what you know. At least you got a roof over your head. At least you
Yes.
know what to expect.
Yes. Yes,
You
that's
don't
right.
when you're living out of a dumpster. You're
Oh,
more
totally.
vulnerable, and somebody else will come and get you.
And because there's so few survivors, of the torturings, it's kind of, well, it's a bit dichotomous really, in that it's like, oh my God, how do we possibly reach them? Because there's so, but at the same time, you guys are kind of almost inextricably linked. Like, because the circles are smallish, you've shared with me that you do know others, or have come across others that you knew in there, that you've seen, like, it's so.
I don't know. It's kind of fun in Mama because we tend to find each other,
Yes, that makes sense.
and we don't understand it,
Yes.
but we can tend to find each other.
Makes sense to me.
And the thing is there's no place for them either.
Well, we're changing that, aren't we?
Doing my best.
We're changing that. Like, just our connection, Angel, and your connection to them and others who you might not know right now, but metaphysically are connected to, because like you said, you guys, you kind of can find each other. And now we are very powerfully consciously connected, to me, and more importantly, the powerhouse light team that walk with me. Because it's not me, it's the big guns that I work with. Like, we are all holding each other's hands now. We're going to change this for survivors of torture trafficking. I've decided, you've decided, we're going to change this. We're going to make sure that they know that they can come and be heard and not be labeled crazy, and they can come and get love and support. And we don't know the way through. We're learning together, aren't we? You and me. But the key ingredient is love, isn't
Yeah,
it?
Mama.
Yeah. Love changes everything, doesn't
That day was amazing.
it? For me too.
But that's the thing, is if people can see. Because a lot of people do escape, but they wind up going back. So they're not really, so they're back there. Because when they get out, there's no lifeline.
There's no life.
And if there's a place to go, there's a lifeline and a chance that they don't have to go back. And then more people might try to get away. But we know when we get away, there's nothing. Because you see the people coming back. You know there's nothing out here. I got away twice,
Yeah.
and I was found twice. I've gotten away a third time,
Yeah.
and the hunt is on.
Yes. But, what's working for us and what we're working with is the undeniable and exponential awakening process that is happening to humanity and all of its all of planet Earth and Mama Gaia's creatures right now, is that those shadow aspects are also exponentially dissolving, whether you like it or I like it or not, yes or yes. This is what is happening. So it is a very different universe to what it was when you last escaped and were found. It is a very different universe to what it was last week, Angel. Okay? We are further and further supported and protected as we stand in the flame of truth and of love and of light with this. All of us, the people that are listening, all of us are standing solid, metaphysically solid together. You are no longer that one match. Liz talks about this, my mentor so much, like you take one match and you can very easily flick and break it. Take 10, try to do the same thing. No, when we stand together, and you now have the most amazing light team stuck to you like glue, my sister, you can't be fucked with. It's not going to happen. And my prayer also extends to those poor, decrepit souls who are so lost and divorced from love and light that they are at this point perpetrating. There is hope for their souls too. And that if they want to come and be transformed, they are welcome back into the light and back into love. They are absolutely welcome. It is the time for that. And that is happening more and more and more all over the planet. People are switching up, coming back to love and light very fast.
As they
This is what's
say,
happening.
people like me don't grow up to be people like me. So
Kids
many
are
that
now.
grow up like me just continue it on.
Yeah.
Because we don't know another way.
Yeah.
I don't know why I haven't.
Yeah. And whatever it is, like I said to you last time we met, whatever it is that is that question mark. I don't know why, you say. I don't know why people like me. Well, I don't know why I haven't become a perpetrator and lost my soul and lost my love. If anything, you are one of the purest, most loving, most innocent souls I've ever met. Probably the most. And it's like, that is your gift to humanity, Angel. And I am going to stand by you and help you bring that, because it is incredibly powerful. The resilience of your love and soul, my sister. And you are to be celebrated and acknowledged for all that you've walked and all that you want to stand for in your vision to advocate. I back you. I'm totally backing you.
Couldn't do it without you, Mama. I mean, the statistics that nobody, we become statistics. Human trafficking is all about statistics. Even under the law, even in the awareness. Everybody quotes 1 in 3, 4 in 7, 9 in 10. Numbers just roll off backs.
Yeah, they do.
You look at the torture trafficking, which they don't keep stats of. But if you actually look at the stats, and those of us that are in it know it, out of every sex trafficking person, 1 in 36 of them are solely for torture. Estimated globally, 25 million people are being sex trafficked around the world.
Right.
That's 694,446 people torture trafficked. One gets trafficked every 30 seconds in one of the categories.
And you have shared with me that from what you know, and it is probably very possible that you are the survivor with the longest standing history inside in the rings, and you kind of have a pretty good idea of things. And you've said to me that you estimate that there's, I don't know, between 50 and 100 around, survivors in your country of these particular, of the torture rings.
Yeah.
Not many.
Not many when you look at the numbers.
And most are, either heavily drug addicted, or maybe institutionalized.
A lot of them are institutionalized.
A lot of them are, yeah, right.
I mean, I went to one when a couple months after I was out, I had to go to one. And it was instant crazy.
Oh, darling.
Instant label. Crazy, and let's get her started on heavy medication. Luckily, I had somebody on the outside that was fighting and finally got through and said, actually, because of the position that they held, they were taken seriously and okay, they stopped the medication.
Right.
But then because I wasn't crazy, I got kicked out on the street in an afternoon where there was no public transportation. I had no money
Huh.
and I was just let loose on the street in a state I didn't know, in a town I didn't know.
Right. And this is how we're taking care. This, humans, is how directly or indirectly we are taking care of our most vulnerable members of society. Like it's not necessarily the elderly or the children that are the most vulnerable. It's the survivors of torture trafficking. Like vulnerable in every way to the max. And we don't even discuss it.
No, a lot of the kids, and I don't blame them. The kids that are coming out, they need a lot of help.
Yes.
But also, too, kids are very resilient, which is why they tend to be better survivors. When the adults come out, it's a lot harder because our minds have been set.
Yeah.
Kids' minds are still growing.
Yeah.
And you can get into the science of it all. I mean, they talk a lot of science at us.
I bet.
When you go to the traditional means and they say we can learn to live with it, but we can't fix it. But I don't want to live with it. Nobody would choose to. It's just that's what we're told we have to do. And I thought there was something different.
Hmm.
And I kept looking. And then you said yes. And it's been a ride. And it's going to be a further ride. And we that come out, we know it's going to be a long haul. I mean, I know people that is, we're only in, 5 years, 7 years. I'm the longest so far recorded that's made it out.
Hmm. And I want to just share with people how, with one particular other survivor that you're friendly with, who I feel so strongly via you, who's really not doing well and desperately needs support. It's very hard for this person to come in toward me because of not just the trauma, but the conditioning that, I can almost hear it, that she doesn't deserve, that she's nothing, that I can hear it. And it's like, oh, come, just please come. It's not as easy as these people just going, oh, great, there's some support. Oh, wow, she's getting some support. I'll sign up too. There's so much that they are burdened with psychologically on all the levels that has them not able to even connect with the support, and that breaks my heart too. Just
No,
breaks my
training
heart.
tells us we're not worth it.
Yeah.
When they break us, we're not worth anything anymore. But we have to take care of.
Yeah.
And the person that you speak about, it's like, well, I've been able to find work, which is difficult enough for us to do anyways. I mean, it's not like I can put torture down as a job reference when you're looking at trying to go to work. And
Yeah.
look at companies that make us, you know, most of us need a job history. What do you tell them you've done for the past years?
Yeah.
You can't really be truthful. Nobody would hire you. So then you got to live in a world that you have to make up just to be able to work. One of the biggest things is if we're doing semi okay, which means we're essentially functioning the way society expects us to, and we're only having our breakdowns occasionally, then why take a spot for somebody that might need it more that gets out? Because you got to put others first.
Right. Yeah.
And as I've tried to tell them, I had to be done. I, when I contacted you, I had my passport in hand to go back.
Yeah.
It wasn't the first time that I had thought that way, but I was at the end of a rope because I couldn't get any help and I couldn't function anymore.
Mm.
I wasn't understanding the world as I'm supposed to, and it was becoming way too hard.
Yeah.
I knew they would take me back. They'll always take us back.
Yeah.
Whether we survive it, that's an unknown, but they'll always take us back.
And you've shared with me that if you were to go back, or that if you were to be found, you wouldn't come out alive.
No, there would be an epic show to end all shows, and they would make a slew of money, and at the end of it, there would be just a bag of bones. And I know that because I know the person that owns me.
All right. Well, in this minute, let's just blast that person with love. Just absolutely blast that person with love. Yeah. Yeah. And a prayer that they come through and wake up to the truth of the essence of who they are as a human being, the loving essence, and that they are welcome to come back to that at any moment, and that it can be very swift. And so let's just share with people, about Project Angel, because that came from our connection. That only came from our connection. And that is, the Mana Movement's initiative to support you guys, is to support victims of torture trafficking. And Project Angel is a way for people to donate coin, money, currency that can finance our very small team of masters of empathic communication, the modality of healing that I practice and that we train people up in, so that you guys can get the very needed, loving support, emotionally, metaphysically, soulfully, that you can finally be held tight. And from their beginner journey of walking yourselves out of a whole bunch of shit energy that never had anything to do with any of you. We can unravel you guys from that. And that's what Project Angel is all about. And also, we have a vision of opening a center. I see it in the mountains of South America, a place where survivors can go to rest deeply, because that is what is needed for you guys when you get out. Is there somewhere safe for you to actually finally let go? And it's hard, isn't it, for you? Like the in the healing process that we're walking, it's so hard for you to have to deal with modern Western life in cities, and it's like, for me, ideally, it's like, no, get the heck, I want to get you out of there and somewhere where you can just be with the elements and be with the medicine women and the ancient healing practices, and just have you drop deep for however long it takes. That's our vision. That's the dreaming. And so if there's anyone listening here who knows someone that's got plenty of money that they want to share into this humble project, that has massive ripple effects for our race in terms of soul reclamation and reclamation of love and light on our planet, please get in touch with us. And Angel, I would love for you to share about your experience of Project Angel as a survivor of torture trafficking and what it's meant for you, so people can get your side of it too.
I wouldn't be alive if it wasn't for Project Angel, because I would have gone back.
Wow.
I was that close, because there was nothing helping me. There was nothing that could help me. The medications dope you up. The people that do try to help don't even begin to understand. You've spoken about it on some of your other podcasts. Some of the needs that we have, that I have, the ability to not be able to eat, the ability not to be able to use the bathroom, the ability not to be able to know what even to wear.
Yeah.
Should I have a jacket on today? Should I not have a jacket on today? I don't know the answer to those questions.
Yeah.
And with you and Project Angel, I'm able to go down a journey to learn, not to have to sit there and be told, well, what do you think? Why don't you figure it out? Why don't you know? People outside of Project Angel, they don't understand. They don't want to understand. They never have understood. Not me, anyways.
Hmm.
And I know from the others that I speak to, they're in the same boat.
Hmm. Yeah.
And when I came to Project Angel, when you started Project Angel, and I'm able to get the help that we can sit there, you and your team don't judge. You don't sit there and say, well, of course you should know when to go to the bathroom. Or of course you shouldn't have to ask permission. Of course you should be able to decide what you want to eat. Nobody wants to step on your free will. You've got free will now. I don't even know what the fucking hell that means. And
Yeah.
excuse my French,
Yeah.
but
No.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And there's nobody willing to teach us
Yeah.
because they don't understand how to teach us. And when I found you, you understood how to teach.
Right.
You understood how to sit with me and let me be. I couldn't feel. I could share my story 1,000 times over, as I had to do, trying to find help, trying to work with other people.
Hmm.
Never a tear shed until that first meeting with you. And I don't know why it was different. I have people in survivor groups that ask me, what's different? I can't describe it. I don't have words for it. I know it works. And I know it works because, as some people I know that will probably be listening to this remembers when all they saw me in was a baseball cap, dark glasses, with a baseball in my hand so I could keep my hands busy looking down at a floor. And that's how I was.
Yeah.
That's all I could do. I don't have the dark glasses on anymore. I don't have a baseball cap on anymore. Although I'm told I should wear it when I go out in the sun
Mm.
to protect my face from sunburn.
Mm.
I don't need the baseball.
Mm.
I've got other things I can use to help me get through. But I can't walk into a store on my own. I don't know how.
Mm.
That's overwhelming. And if I go with someone and I have to cling on, the stares you get, the looks you get, because they see you as a grown person and what the heck's her problem? The clinical way works for some, and I won't say it doesn't work for everybody, because some people are working through it. But for me, I don't want to live with it. I don't want to live with the memories. I don't want the night terrors no more. I don't want to be hiding under a coffee table,
Yeah.
scared to come out anymore.
Yeah.
And nothing was working till Project Angel started to work with me. And I might still go onto the table
Yeah.
and hide.
Yeah.
But Project Angel has been there to help me out of it.
Yeah.
And they've been there to tell me it's okay to be where I'm at. And I don't need to be anything different. I don't need to try to fit in right now. I just need to try to be me right now and get through each day the best I can. There's easier days, there's harder days, there's sometimes impossible days for people like me. But I get through because I know I have the project behind me. And I know I can. We work.
Yeah.
And for everybody that's helped the project, I couldn't be sitting here without it. I couldn't. I couldn't be talking on it or about it without the project. So much has happened in a short amount of time. Leaps and bounds
Yeah.
compared to what I was.
Yes.
I know it's still a long road ahead. People like me don't have a short road. It's a long road. But to know that the project is going to be there and go down the long road to come and sit with us when we have to retreat into our cages, mentally, not physically.
Yeah.
But when we have to do that because we can't handle what's going on, project is right there to help us
Yeah.
and sometimes sit in there with us and
Yeah.
sometimes give us the hand to come a little closer to the door.
Yes.
I can't say why it works,
Mm.
but I know it's better than all my clinical work I've ever done.
Yeah.
There's stuff we've talked about, and there's things that we have done that I've walked around with for younger years that have been gone
Yeah.
in one meeting.
Yeah.
And trust me, I still go looking for them, and I still don't know where they went. I still don't know where they went, and I still don't know
Dissolved.
how it went.
Oh.
But it did.
Yeah.
And I've been in traditional. I've been in the psychotherapy. I've done psychodrama. I've done the clinical. I've done the therapist. I've done the EMDR and the CBT and the mindfulness and the all those
Reiki.
wonderful catchphrases that
Yep.
they use.
Yeah. Tried everything.
And nothing worked. And I think it's because nobody's wanted to understand.
Yeah, that's it.
Nobody's
Yeah.
wanted to understand
Yeah.
why I have to ask to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to be embarrassed by that. I'm not embarrassed by it no more.
Yeah.
I can ask.
Yeah.
And it's okay to ask right now.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll come a time when I don't need to. But right now, that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And
Yeah.
I've never felt okay about that.
Right.
That's amazing for someone like me
Yeah.
to not feel guilty or feel like you're imposing on people.
Yeah.
The project has helped me get safe. The
Yeah.
project is there when I'm not feeling safe. The project has helped me find other people
Yeah.
who care.
Yes.
And I didn't know what that meant.
Yeah.
So when you talk about Project Angel, it's a lifesaver. It saved my life. It saves my life every day,
Hmm.
even on the darkest days. It's there to save it. And on the good days, it's saving it and celebrating.
Yeah.
But it's still there to save it so that I can remember the good day or even the good moment in the day
Yeah.
or when the darkness comes in again.
Yeah.
And it's okay that it comes. You teach me that. And we'll ride it out together.
Yes.
And eventually it'll go.
Yes.
And not that it always goes, but I've seen it. We've seen it together.
Yes.
And yeah, the rest that you talk about, wish I could. We've had some nights. We've conquered some nights where I've gotten some good rest, but
Yes.
most nights not.
Yeah.
It just doesn't come to people like me. It
Mm.
doesn't come.
Mm.
But the project is there for us. And we can talk about it. And they understand. Understand like nobody else does.
Yeah. And that's the key. That's really the key, is understanding the power of understanding, the power of wanting to understand another, the power of having another, i.e., you, feel the truth that I truly want to understand you. That's the game changer, darling. That's, I guess, the real love and care of a mother or a father, regardless of whether you have physical children. I'm not talking about physical mothers and fathers. I'm talking about the care, like the unconditional love to protect. And, the drive, the unconditional drive to love and protect another human being is likened to the love of a mother. And I got plenty of that.
People like us don't get that. People like us generally have never had that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we don't know that.
Yeah. I understand.
You know? There's just so much unknown.
Mm.
And that's what makes us vulnerable yet again. To go to somebody who's going to exploit that. Where do
Yes.
you go where nobody's going to exploit that? And I know Project Angel doesn't exploit it. I know Project Angel is there to support it and help me learn.
Mm.
Slowly, maybe, but it has to be. I don't learn things very fast.
And that's okay.
There's a lot of our programming that needs to be reprogrammed.
Yeah.
Project will get to that.
Yeah, we will.
It just takes time.
Yeah.
And you talked about like a mama and a papa
Yeah.
and love
Yeah.
and the unconditional. All foreign words until I met the project. Then it was just over a month
Yeah.
before I could start to feel what you were talking about when you said love. I remember that day to a T. I know the date. I
Oh,
know where I was.
yeah.
I I didn't know before that. And
Right.
once that happened, it's been a journey. But I trust the project. I trust you. I'll listen.
Mm.
That's the biggest problem for survivors. We have to have somebody that we trust and know
Yes.
because we need to ask things.
Yes.
We need to ask things that probably shouldn't be talked about right now. But we need to ask things.
Yes.
And if there's not somebody there that truly cares, we can be exploited all over again
That's right.
because they understand why we're asking, or they understand that they can manipulate what we're asking.
All right. Yeah. Thanks.
And the project gives you the trust, it gives you the safety that you can ask
Yeah.
and not get exploited or in trouble over it.
Yeah, darling. Yeah. And you know what the project stands for is that every life is incredibly sacred, and yours is so incredibly sacred and worth fighting for and worth everything. And you know, the project stands for the total rehabilitation of your life and soul and heart, not just the part. Rehabilitation, like we aim to fully rehabilitate a small number of survivors completely rather than taking on too many and just doing a little bit of work. That's not, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's another way of operating, but that's not what Project Angela is about. It's about working completely with a few of you and doing whatever that takes. Doing whatever that takes. And so I just want to invite anyone listening to get involved, to share the news, to share this podcast, to share the incredibly brave testimony of our sister here, our sister Angel. And I have a feeling there'll be a lot more from her brave heart and voice in coming years. And yeah, just thank you so much, Angel, for being with us today in the kitchen.
Together, Mama.
Yeah, together, us together, all the human race together, all the lovers and the seers and the dreamers and the visionaries all together now, dreaming in our new earth. And you're a big part of that, Angel. You're a big part of that. You're a big, powerful team player. Jeez, you got a lot to teach a lot of us. I know that.
Thanks, Mama.
So much love to you, dear heart. And thank you to everyone listening. And bye for now. Bye. Love you.
Love you too, Mama.